see, I'll discuss what first of all how what we do. So we're in South Africa, and we're the Department of Architecture and Industrial Design, similar to what you have. And we offer degrees that are undergraduate and postgraduate degrees. So undergraduate is a 4-year degree in architecture, and we have a specialization, either architectural design or architectural technology. So those in architecture are 2 specialist fields, and then we also have industrial design. Industrial design in our department, or my department, only joined us 2 years ago. So we haven't done changes there, but I'll show you how we incorporate their fields. So in architecture, then we have 3 possible degrees. The one focusing on design, the one on technology, and then there's a pure research degree. So in the design, first of all, we've got what we call an extended curriculum. Now that is where we add 1 year extra for students that we think might fail. So if we call them at risk. So if you might fail, we actually give you an extra year and we prepare you for your studies. And then we've got a bachelor's of architecture and then masters of architecture. So there you specialize in design, but there's also architectural technology, and that technology specialization makes you a specialist in a particular field of architecture. Our approach is that we use a D squared plus M squared. So all our subjects are based on the idea that there's a design and development component and then a model and make component. The thing that is very important for me is also the entrepreneurial component, that architects and industrial designers, through design adding value, they can sell or make and sell something. And so we've got an undergraduate degrees in architecture, that is the bachelor's of architecture or the extended one, and that degree is either 4 years if you're doing it straight, or you have an extra year that makes it 5 years if you're doing that extended program. Then in the final year, you can select whether you want to do design or technology. So there we then split them in the final year into a design stream or technology stream. And then we go in our postgraduate degrees, we then have a master's degree in architecture or in architectural technology. Now that is 2 years each. Okay, so our master's degree takes 2 years and our undergraduate degree 4 years. And then our doctoral degree is between 2 and 5 years. So this will give you an overview of our architecture programs. Now, at this level here, before we get the Y split, all our students register with our Council for the Architectural Profession as senior architectural technologists. Now, unlike Argentina, in South Africa, you first have to do in-house training and you have to do an additional exam before you may register for the Council for the Architectural Profession. And the same applies here also. So in essence, you at TUT, if you want to become an architect, you'll study 4 years plus 2 years, that's 6 years, and then you have to do a further 2 years in training. I want to share how we changed the curriculum, and this was a difficult exercise. When we did this 4 years ago, When I started as the head of department, and my term has come to an end, so there's a new head of department. But when I started, in the first year, here you'll see there were 11 subjects. And I said, this is too complicated. There are too many subjects. We have to streamline it. So in essence, where we first had 11 subjects, I reduced those 11 subjects to 7. And that was for the first years. The other years subsequently, I reduced it to 6 subjects. And a subject like theory and history of architecture, with industrial design joining us, there was a potential in looking at theory and history of design and architecture, because the industrial design students benefit from learning about architecture, whereas the architecture students learning from design. So that is something that's in the making now. Also, when industrial design first joined us, I asked that in every year group, at least one project must be focused on industrial design and going into the lab and making something. So that design, develop, model, make, you design that thing, you try to make it, you see it doesn't work, you go back to developing it, and then you remake it. So every project had to have, architecture students had to have a direct relationship with industrial design students for one project in every year. What we do is we have a selection test. Now, we only take in 65 new students every year in architecture and 20 new students in industrial design. You have to write a selection test for architecture, and for industrial design, you submit a portfolio. Now, it's a public university, but our students have to pay fees, and architectural design is design, whether we're doing it for industrial design or for architecture. I think if students, and this has been my approach in first year, the industrial design students learn how to make jewelry, and they cast it in sand, etc. The architecture students can benefit equally from that process. So ideally, we should move away from architectural design and just get to design. They develop it, and ultimately they need to sell it. So that brings what I initially said, that in entrepreneurship, that is really important. That brings everything together. We add value through design, and we also generate an income. So in design, there's definitely a possibility to share between the two disciplines. Every year has got what I call a year coordinator, and that year coordinator coordinates everything in the year. And then also, and that's where I said we need to have half of our credits in design. So the design lecturer needs to make sure that someone in construction, the construction lecturer, knows what's happening in design, and they use a design project and they make construction drawings of that. So that's the way that we approached. So there are 4 subjects in the final year, and the mini dissertation, and we call it, it's not officially a thesis, it's actually a mini dissertation. That's what we call it. So that's what I presented. A lot of our theory courses now are online. They're also graphic illustration, for instance. We've captured videos, we made videos, and those videos are now still available. But design is still taught in the studio, and theory, one can say that parts of that could be done through self-directed learning, yes, but there are certain aspects that you know, you need engagement with a particular lecturer. Design is always here, but there are subjects that are semester subjects. In example, in our second year, we've got a program that we call work integrated learning. So in our second year, all students go work in practice for 6 months. Our challenge at TUT is we're in 2 different buildings. So that makes it a bit challenging, and it was just before COVID started that the 2 departments amalgamated. But it is a very good it's a very good fit, the 2 design disciplines, but the crossover hasn't happened fully yet. That's in essence, I'm saying in essence it's long, but that in essence is what a year looks like, and that's our final year's work.